So I'm going to introduce Andy Moore. For those of you that didn't attend the State of the Game Industry panel, I'll give you guys a little information on him. You can check out andymore.ca for his development blog. What's more than just a development blog, he explains his approach on development and also on the business side. He really breaks down the numbers for you. The games he's worked on, he's co-designed Fantastic Contraption. He's also developed Steambirds, and right now you're working on Protonaut? Steambirds 2. Okay. So without further ado, I'll pass it on to Andy.
All right. I think PowerPoint's ruining presentations globally, so I'm doing it a little bit differently this time around. So anyway, most people consider Flash to be a free platform. It's got kind of this stigma to it where everything has to be free, ad-supported, and makes you no money. That's the general perception of it. And even beyond that, people think that it's for kids, or it's a super crowded marketplace and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm gonna tell you guys some ways that I've made money with Flash, and ways that I see my friends and indie game community making Flash games and everything, and actually making some good coin with it. So, what I'll discuss. There we go. All right, so how to make money in Flash is a huge topic, so I'm gonna cover it in a few different ways, and I'll have time for questions at the end if you want me to get into detail. But I'm just going to try to blow through these in a very general sense. So I'm going to talk about why I use Flash in the first place, how to actually design games to make money, and a bit more about state of the industry, which is going to be a tiny bit of a rehash on the earlier talk, unfortunately. Sorry about that. But yeah, and then some alternative options for making money, and we'll go from there. But first, who am I? Fantastic Contraptions, where I got my big start in games. It was actually a game by my high school friend called Northway. I helped out with it. That is a Flash game where $10 unlocks the level editor, and that game's made shy of $1 million. So it's a very good example of success in Flash games, and I'll get into details on that business model a little bit. I then went on to make Space Squid, and that's my hand-drawn art there. And because it was my hand-drawn art and I did not rely on good artists, I made $0 on that. I think it's for sale right now for like $10, and you get the entire source code. I've had no bites in a year. So Protonauts, another game I started up after that. It's a run and jump platform puzzle game that I'm actually launching it. I had a soft launch a few months ago, but I'm really launching it within this month or so. And Steambirds is the big game that I made. It's gotten on all the blogs. It's even mentioned on Penny Arcade, which is so amazing. But yeah, it's a little Flash game that's been released on Armor Games. Anyway, why I think Flash is awesome. I use Flash for a variety of reasons. First, I found it pretty easy to learn, but there's a huge user base. Everyone has Flash installed, and if you want to find a tester, if you want to send your latest build to someone, just to see if a mechanic works or just to get a feel for if something's working, you don't have to worry about downloading whatever VB runtime bullshit. Like you don't want your testers or anything to have to do that. You don't want to have to limit your audience. There's a huge audience for Flash, and if you make the right product, you have more people willing to give you money in the Flash market than any other gaming market right now. It's just making the right game that capitalizes on that. Other people think that the market's really crowded. They say, hey look, there's like 700 Flash games released a day. I think that was in January. It's a ridiculously huge number. But what you have to realize is that it's not really crowded because there's so many filters in place. I mean, if I said, yeah, there's 700 apps on the iPhone released today, like you'd have no luck finding something. If you wanted to find that one special app, you would never find it. But Flash has this huge network of portal sites, even things like Direct to Drive is selling Flash games now. Steam has Flash games on it now. And those sites filter out all the junk. And of those like 700 games a day, 699 of them are made by 12-year-olds and are just Mario ripoffs or something, right? Or Tetris clones or something like that. If you actually make a decent game, and if you put a tiny bit of polish on it, it becomes a marketable product, and you'll be one of the few gems in the sea. And people notice that right away. It's really easy to sell games if you have that in there. There's also so that touches on the content discovery problem there. So if you want to release a game, if you want to get it on the shelf, you know how hard it is to get shelf space? Or if you get your game onto the App Store, like it's like one of those claw games, right? Who knows what you're going to get? You might get the wrong one, you might get a piece of junk, something like that. Yeah, and with Flash, the content discovery problem is just solved. It's awesome. I love the way the internet works. I mean, the internet and the online communities and everything, they collaborate to solve problems. And there was a big problem in the industry, which was, there's 700 Flash games. How do we get the good ones? And that's been solved. That hasn't been solved on the App Store. It hasn't been solved with XBLA, right? XBLA, how many new games released a week? How many people are coding games for a week? There's a huge disparity there. Anyway, also another great thing about Flash is you don't have to worry about drivers, hardware, incompatibilities, all that other stuff that comes with making a big game. And that kind of stuff, like even porting a game from PC to Mac or to Linux or whatever, or even to be compatible with the latest video cards, it's really difficult in terms of time and expense to get those working properly. There's a guy I know, he's making a PC game. It's multiplayer. It sounds really cool, and I'm looking forward to trying it, but it requires 2 Xbox 360 controllers plugged into the PC. Now, if you want to do that, that's great. I love seeing these new games. I like seeing this exciting stuff, but trying to sell that, if that's fun for you, great, but if those are the dollar signs at the bottom of the cup, you're not going to get it. It's really difficult to get into that kind of stuff. You just whittle down your target audience so small. But in the end, Flash means you can make games quickly and easily, you can distribute them to a huge audience, and that's that. Getting into the how to design a game to make money, first of all, you have to design a game for your target audience and to have a target audience, and not make your favorite game. Making your own favorite game is excellent learning experience, and it can be fun for you, but the people who are going to buy that game are, well, you and nobody else. You have to have a target audience, know where you're going to launch your game, where you're going to sell your game, and I'll get into a whole list of how you can sell your game later. But if you don't know where you're selling your game, you can't make your game properly. So make sure you know right from the outset who you're selling your game to and where you're going to launch it. Traditionally, Flash developers make games that go onto portal websites. Portal websites are those websites you go to, there's like 100 Flash games that have 5 new games a day at least. And people log on to them on their lunch breaks. They want a quick, easy, fun game that they can win, that they can beat. They don't want to be challenged on their lunch break. They don't want an invigorating story. They don't want to read a page of instructions. They're on their lunch break. They just want to sit down, and probably only with the mouse because the other hand has a sandwich in it or something, right? So you have to design a game with that in mind. And you have to know that those people don't really have very long attention spans. So if you don't get their attention captured in the first few seconds of the game, like I'm thinking 5-10 seconds, then they're not going to even play your game. It's going to be nothing, right? All right, so so many things to talk about. I make a big long list here. Whoops. That button doesn't scroll down. Okay. This guy's Brad Wardell. He works for, he's CEO for Stardock. I'm sure you've heard of him. I hope you've heard of him. Galactic Civilizations 2 is the big game he made a whole bunch of waves about. I'll talk for a second about Galactic Civilizations 1, the original. Pictured here is the PC version. That's not the one I'm talking about. I'm talking about the version for OS 2. How many people here even know what OS 2 is? Oh wow, yikes. I'm older than I thought. OS 2 was a competing operating system with DOS back in the day before Windows 3.1 came out. And Brad Wardell was there on the Usenet message boards looking at all the games coming out for DOS and said, they're making all these strategy games and they're doing it stupidly. I know exactly how to make this game awesome. Like, how many of us have played a game and said, yeah, I know how to make this better? Like, all of us, right? So he sat down and he made Galactic Civilizations 1, and I think I don't know if he's joking or not, but I think he said it made $600 in sales, and he even found a publisher. But that is tiny, because he made a game that only he could play. He made a game that was exactly what he wanted, and had no regard for his target audience. And he gave a whole 1-hour speech on this little nugget I just gave you at GDC, and I was there for it. It was really inspiring and really neat to listen to. So make sure you have a target audience, make sure you actually go towards it. You have to market yourself. You have to, as the previous talk said there, have a dev blog. Go to game jams, go to GDC conferences. Half the people all the people I've worked with in games have been people I've met at GDC. It is like the place to be, it's the place to go, it's the best place for networking that I've found. I also do like global game jam. I'm going to do the game jam at the end of this conference. Like, it's an excellent way to meet people, see what people can do under pressure in short frames of time, and just get a feel for them. Make sure that your name's out there, and then when it comes time to release a game, people actually pay attention and give you money for it instead of just saying, oh, who's this guy? And just skip over it, right? Having a brand for yourself is key. Oh, where am I?